North Africa and include Somali and many dialects of Berber. This is what is quoted in that book, including it as those ancient. These pictures are familiar for anybody that they are these early Egyptian pictures. We see every person, or mostly the kings of the early Egyptians, are holding, and their gods too, are holding a type of a stick. For the last few years, recently or for a while, when the early hieroglyphic scripts on the monuments of ancient Egypt were translated to English and to other languages, and then were known or read by Somali-speaking people, we can identify about so many hundreds of words that are exactly Somali when translated, or even you can correct some of the mistakes being done in the translation from hieroglyphic script to English. This particular stick, which is, if you ever look at any picture of a pharaoh or the gods of the early pharaohs, that they are holding as a sample for them. When this was translated, and we should remember that both early and the middle hieroglyphic writings had no vowels, but they were, this language were only, the writing was only in consonants. And the consonants translated from this stick was ha, na, ga, la, H-N-G-L. If you add simply the vowels that are used, I use the same stick in my culture, in the Somali culture at present. This was made short just to fit the case, the bag. It travels, but it should be as high as this. And I call it hangol, the same word at that time. Therefore, you could see how old this language remains to be, that it is one of those languages described to be spoken in 3000 BC before BC. And there are so many other words that are interrelated in the same way. We should know the historical ties between the land of Punt, which is claimed to be a number of places, but particularly most of the historians believe that it was Somalia. Hangol is used. Why it has? It is not made. You have to get and identify a branch of a tree that has both ends like this. And sometimes when your issues are not together, that you are not getting in the correct way, you say you didn't find the hooked part and the other part together. Gadkii iyo faraadkii baa la isla waayay. Hangolka baa la yidhi. This end, if you are wondering, for those of you who don't know, is for pushing mostly the thorny parts of a branch of a tree where you make the corral or the fencing for the animals to be placed in. And this part is for pulling anything. So, or even to make the leaves fall down on the ground so the animals may feed on. When it is dry, you use this. when a young man gets or is married in that culture, his friends, the friends of the bridegroom, present him a hangol, saying that it is today that you took the responsibility of building a family, therefore it is the sample. The Egyptians may have the same intention. By building a nation, they made the sample as the hangol. It is supposedly another term used in Somali is also salimu, which is a bit longer and is mostly in hands of religious people who use the salimu as a sacred stick. This belief comes or is derived as it was in the hands of all pharaohs. It is supposedly to be the stick, Moses' stick, إنها عصا موسى. The Moses stick that is told about all religions. This historical language then need to be preserved, and it was for all these centuries being used, and it was preserved through particularly the literature of it and the poetic forms of the language. I want to relate to this, to how maybe in some classrooms, some more characteristics to know for a classroom teacher